John in Virginia, Republican. Let's hear from you.
Well, this is John Barron, and this is the worst decision you've ever had in your life, practically.
That was the president of the United States pretending to be someone else, using a well-known pseudonym that Trump is known to have used in the past. Now, C-SPAN claims that it wasn't President Donald Trump because they think we're morons, but I don't know, Cenk, what do you think?
No, this one's actually in dispute, but I'm with you. I'm a C-SPAN truther.
How is this in dispute?
So we'll get to it. So you want to get into it now? Here, let's do it.
No, let's pause.
Okay.
Because you're wrong. But nonetheless, after 6 Supreme Court justices struck down Trump's global tariffs on Friday, he's been spiraling. I mean, if you've paid any attention to what Trump's been up to, he's been complaining. He says that these Supreme Court justices should be ashamed, that their family members are probably ashamed of them. I mean, it's just total childish brain rot, totally taking control. Even though the tariffs have been disastrous for the US economy, he should use this as honestly a blessing to back away from a tariff policy that has been bad for his presidency and bad for the American people, but he's not seeing it that way. So he also took some time to rail on Democratic leadership like Hakeem Jeffries, who led the charge to get the tariffs repealed, especially the tariffs on Canada. So let's take a quick look at that.
Several of Republicans in Congress have supported this decision by the Supreme Court. And Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, has called you a wannabe king. Why wouldn't
him a low IQ?
But why wouldn't
he doesn't even know? And I watched him the other day interview. The guy doesn't even know what a tariff is.
But there's been bipartisan criticism.
No, not bipartisan.
Of the tariffs.
Excuse me.
There's several Republicans
people
have said that.
Yeah,
but
a
why
few people.
Wouldn't you just work with Congress to come up with a plan?
I don't have to
push tariffs.
I have
through.
the right to do tariffs, and I've always had the right to do tariffs, and it's all been approved by Congress. So there's no reason to do it.
Yeah, Supreme Court ruled against you. The Supreme Court ruled against you. The Supreme Court, by the way, 3 of the justices who you nominated. Okay, one of them didn't rule against him, right? Brett Kavanaugh's like worried about the refund scenario. Who cares about the refund? Is it constitutional or not? But anyway, whatever, I digress. Like most of them ruled against Donald Trump, but he doesn't want to accept it. So I think Trump did call into C-SPAN to complain like a whiny little child. So let's take a listen and then we'll have this debate.
Well, this is John Barron, and this is the worst decision you've ever had in your life, practically. Jack's going to agree with me, right? But this is a terrible decision, and you have Hakeem Jeffries, he's a dope, and you have Chuck Schumer, who can't cook a cheeseburger. Of course these people are happy. But true Americans will not be happy. And you have the woman earlier, I assume she's a woman, she's a Democrat, but she said she's disgraced. She's devastated.
Now, C-SPAN denies the fact that this was President Donald Trump, writing on X that because so many of you are talking about Friday's C-SPAN caller who identified himself as John Barron, we want to put this to rest. It was not the president. The call came from a Central Virginia phone number and came while the president was in a widely covered in-person White House meeting with the governors. Okay, tune into C-SPAN, blah, 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 you get the point. I don't believe them.
That's amazing that you don't believe them. Okay, so hold on. First, let's ask you guys, because we have a poll on this on TYT.com. John Barron called into C-SPAN, that is often Trump's pseudonym. What really happened? A, that was the real John Barron, he exists. B, that was Trump, our president is a child. C, it was an impersonator who nailed Trump's voice and style. Okay, so you guys tell us what you think about it. So Anna, I was positive it was Trump. And part of the reason that I was positive that it was Trump is because the way he tried to change his voice. Like, I'll tell you what, he's a dope. Okay, like, but his voice still comes through as he's trying to suppress the voice.
It sounds exactly like
him. It sounds exactly like him. But more importantly than even sounding like him, because impersonators can get really close.
Thank you. The audience gets it, Cenk. Okay, the audience gets it. They can't be fooled. Okay. How dare you try to trick them?
Okay, I'm not trying to trick anybody. And then, but his style is so Donald Trump, right? Like the referencing the earlier caller and everybody's a dope, etc. So But when C-SPAN put out this, I mean, I'd love to be a C-SPAN's truther and be like, no, C-SPAN's lying on behalf of Donald Trump. But why would they lie on behalf of Donald Trump?
Because it's embarrassing to get fooled by Donald Trump.
By the way, the host should be mortified. Look, I'm not trying to blame her or whatever, but that was so obviously at least a Trump impersonator. At the very least, that she, instead of getting rid of the call, she should have been like, wait, caller, you sound like Donald Trump. So who actually are you?
Yeah.
Like that would have been an amazing moment on television where we might have been able to find out.
The only thing working against me in my theory that was in fact Donald Trump is the fact that the caller called into C-SPAN. And I just have a hard time believing that Trump has ever watched C-SPAN, even once in his life.
Nah, he watches TV so religiously and old school TV that I wouldn't
Fox,
overly
though.
Okay, but look, the bottom line on this is we all believe that it's possible. Even if you're MAGA, you know you believe that it was possible,
It's Trump.
right? And so whereas like no one would believe that Obama was gonna call into C-SPAN and go, you know, you're really being unfair to Barack Obama. And make up a pseudonym, etc. Man, that sounded like Trump. And it is very believable because he is that childish.
And by the way, it's not hard to believe that it would be Trump because this was something that he would do almost on a regular basis back in the day. So in the 1980s, when reporters called the Trump organization to request an interview with the boss, they were sometimes referred to a spokesman instead. The spokesman, John Barron, was actually Trump hiding behind a fake name. But C-SPAN did get involved and say it wasn't actually Trump. Trump was busy in a business meeting with, I don't know.
In Northern Virginia, not Central Virginia.
And by the way, this whole thing about
I'm kidding about Northern Virginia, I don't know where Trump. Picture this, it's midnight, you're in bed, shopping cart full on Shop TYT. But your wallet's on the other side of the room. Oh no, you don't want to get up. Nobody wants to get up. Oh, then you see the purple Shop Pay button, which has your payment and shipping information saved and ready to go. The day is saved. That seamless checkout experience is all thanks to Shopify, which makes buying your next piece of TYT merch a breeze. Shopify is the platform behind 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Shopify gives you that leg up on the competition with hundreds of beautiful, ready-to-go templates to express your brand's unique style. Tackle all those essential tasks in one place, from inventory to payments to analytics, and expand your brand reach with built-in marketing and email tools. And I already mentioned that awesome purple Shop Pay button. It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. See fewer carts go abandoned and more sales go with Shopify and their Shop Pay button. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/TYT. Go to shopify.com/TYT. That's shopify.com/TYT.
The caller used a phone number based in Virginia. Oh, okay. It's not like you can,
Yeah, that's
use
why.
a service that changes your phone number. Like, it's just so ridiculous. Come on.
Yeah, you could easily dupe your number. Anybody can do that.
Exactly.
But like with the fact that they said Virginia did make me doubt it a little bit. Like if it was like Rhode Island or Missouri, maybe, right? But they're like, it's in a different part of Virginia. Okay, but overall, look, I don't think whether it was him or not is overly relevant. But what is relevant is that we have a president so childish that we think he might do this. And then that guy's in charge of deciding whether we start a disastrous war in the Middle East, whether we go to war with Venezuela and Cuba and Iran, and these wild tariffs, 15% tariffs that he's imposing, despite the Supreme Court saying that he can't. Like his actions lead you to believe that he would make a call like that.
Yeah,
and that
absolutely.
is super dangerous to have that kind of instability in the White House.
Now, the Supreme Court's decision on Trump's tariffs does open up a huge problem, right? A complicated one, because since the Supreme Court has decided that his tariffs were unconstitutional, the importers of foreign produced goods are expecting a refund of some sort. And I want to talk a little bit about the businesses, which might get some sort of refund. I have no idea. But you know who's not gonna get any money back? American consumers. And I wanna talk a little bit about how much it cost us as American consumers to deal with Trump's tariffs, which did not lead to an uptick in manufacturing jobs in our country, which did not benefit our economy in any way, shape, or form. Trump has used tariffs as a cudgel to get what he wants from these various countries, to get certain business deals that he and his family wants. It's not about the American people. That's what's been clear to me. And I say this as someone who was actually very supportive of the notion that we should use tariffs in order to convince businesses to bring jobs back here to the United States, where products could be produced and you don't have to worry about paying, exorbitant tariffs. But nonetheless, the way he did it was ham-handed. It wasn't really about bringing jobs back to the United States. Now, this all cost us money, meaning us individuals as consumers. And a report released this month by Democrats on the Joint Economic Committee in Congress found American families paid an average of $1,745 in tariff costs between February of 2025 and January of 2026, less than a year. That's how much the average US consumer spent on tariffs. Because guess what? Tariffs are taxes that are typically absorbed by the importers, meaning the businesses importing products from other countries, and they tend to pass off some of those costs, at least, to the consumers. So congratulations, America.
Yeah. So they asked Donald Trump, okay, well, the Supreme Court says you kind of have to pay these tariffs back. They remanded to lower courts to figure out how you're going to pay them back. I'm super worried that it's going to go to corporations, and I will fight that with every fiber of my being, and then we'll probably lose, but we'll keep fighting. But Trump said that he would give $2,000 to every American based on how much money we were making from the tariffs. So a reporter asked them, they said, okay, then are you going to, this kind of gets to about, not really quite 2,000, but almost for every American. So is that the plan? And he's like, when did I say that? I don't remember saying that. Oh my God, dude, it was a major proposal that you unveiled. I mean, if Biden said that, we'd all be talking about his mental decline and dementia, right? When he's like, oh yeah, 1776, that's what we're gonna give to the soldiers. No, that's a different promise you made called the warrior dividend. You're totally losing track of all the nonsense. And then I read a story that outlined all the different things that he promised to give away to the average American, including $5,000 per American for all the savings that Doge was gonna give us. Okay, so it's so ironic because you remember what Republicans said throughout our whole lives. Oh, the Democrats, they're just trying to get votes by giving away money, free money to everyone. That's exactly what Donald Trump is promising, but never delivering.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Doge didn't really save much money, so.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.